a little time. Let's talk beneficence and liberality. So we're going to get into what that word beneficence really means and what it implies and how it actually fits into the context of what we're reading in the lesson for today, which came out of 2 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, 1 through 15. You can see me taking deep breaths. This is one of the subjects is like, Lord, we got to deal with this, don't we, Lord? We got to deal with this.
Come on now, come on.
You know, where's Deke at? He done ran out of here. He done ran out. He done prompted me at least 2 times that, Pastor, you need to teach this. You need to teach this. So what he actually was saying that he felt like I needed to teach was teach on giving, which is always a really tough subject to deal with because people have been beaten up so bad in the church when it comes to giving that it's put a bad taste in people's mouth. And so because of that, it becomes like real difficult to like deal with it sometimes. One, people might think you're begging. The other is like, oh, here we go again. And so it's neither of those because what I've learned in dealing with this is that there is an accountability and there is an understanding that we need to have because we serve a God that's a giving God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that when we look at what He has given us versus what we give back, sometimes we go, whew, we're falling short.
Yeah.
Come on, come on.
And so this has more to do with, you know, the heart that actually operates in this area. And the fact that, you know, I mean, we could talk about broken water lines, we could talk about, you know, mortgages that are due and all of that is true. And yet, there's still behind that something that God wants. And that what He wants is really, He wants us to understand His heart so that we function in the same manner.
Okay.
So it's not even, it doesn't even limit itself to within the confines of the walls of the church in our giving, but it actually spreads out into how we treat our fellow man and how we treat the poor and how we deal with them. And, you know, we can go through the scripture and we can find in the scripture, I mean, all over the place how God is so concerned about the poor and what He actually expects of us when it comes to the poor in terms of our giving and helping the poor. And yet, you know, sometimes we get ourselves kind of in a box and in a bind, and I really like the way Apostle Paul started off the text because he started off sharing with the church of Corinth what the church of Macedonia had done.
Come on now.
And chapter 8, 1 through 15 is actually him trying to encourage them to continue on what they had a desire to do in the first place. And so what he was actually saying is, I want you to complete what you've already opened your mouth and said you want to do. And so in his encouraging them, the way that he encouraged them was, you know, sometimes people, you know, don't like you to compare. You know, they really get bogged down when you make comparisons. And but in this in the context of what we just read, what Markel just read is minister. I got to start saying minister. Markel just read is the fact that he was taking what the church of Macedonia did and how they were willing to be a blessing to the church in Jerusalem.
Yes, sir.
And how they went about doing it. And then he went to Corinthians and said, now I gave this example because I want you now to prove. Okay. You know, and so he kind of gets into that, and there's so much good stuff in there when you really crank down to it, and you don't actually see him driving home point. Actually, in our lesson text or in our key text, which is the same chapter but verse 7, he actually says that he actually tells them, he actually kind of the last point there was giving, you know, kind of express that giving piece. And so we're going to kind of look at this and, you know, because we could do the same thing. I mean, we could draw comparisons of, you know, one